Welcome to another episode of Ugly Thirds Loose Threads, the start of a project. See, I've had this Mitchell & Ness Dave Tiger Williams for a very long time. And unfortunately, it is a 56, and a 56 in a Mitchell & Ness is like a dress. And finding one in a 52, which is where I am now, nearly impossible. And as I've said on the show before, as much as I love how ugly this is the one that everyone talks about when I wear it. People just can't stay away. Now, I've noticed that my go-to custom jersey people, Sublimation Kings, have a version of this black one. Not the gold one, for reasons, but this black one, where you can get it as one of their base templates, which means you can get them much cheaper when it comes to sales. And they recently had a sale, and so I bought it with the intent that I'm going to turn this into the even uglier version of this, where the sleeve numbers are all the way down at the bottom, and the C's on this jersey, the captain's C's, are among the ugliest thing. I mean, it makes it worse. It makes it somehow worse. And so we're going to turn this into the start of a project. I hope it just came in from Sublimation Kings. Would recommend, love their products. And let's start this project before I go buy the component pieces. Taking a look at the base. Add some patches, add some numbers, add a nameplate, and add a C. And now I have a jersey that I can wear to work in public and not be quite so ridiculous. Now, okay, some of the details. Now, the point is I'm not trying to make a fake here. I'm trying to create a project of something that does not otherwise exist. And as far as differences go, it's a little darker gold on the original. Sleeve stripes look the same. I mean, other than that slight pigmentation, which, I mean, you know, could go either way, looks about the same. So in trying to put this together, step one is to get the sleeve patches. And this, actually, I thought would be way easier than it was. It wasn't. It took quite a while, actually, to find some decent patches. What I ended up doing, because you need two identical patches, how do I know they're the exact same patch? Willoughby Ward put out a whole bunch of these sheets. You get a patch, not as big enough for a crest, no matter what they say. This thing is about 6.5 inches across. And you get a nice stat sheet with info, and on the back was some, and I guess they made binders of these, and you could collect them, which honestly a pretty cool collection. We are not leaving this for a collection. This one cost me $20. This one was $15. If I could have found both of this, I would have. But these used to be stupid abundant all over eBay, and now they're just not. I don't know if people gave up on selling them, or the people who want them have them, or whatever. But these are going to go on our sleeves for the Canucks jersey. I thought these might be a little big, but comparing them to my original Mitchell & Ness, no, honestly, this is going to be a pretty good analog. Now, I don't know about the black versus the white stitching there, but that level of attention to detail, not going to matter for this. After all, it's not a legit jersey. It's one I'm making from scratch. Thick piece of double-sided tape on the back, but all in all, good. All right, I looked at bunches of these jerseys for reference, and it seems like the logo goes right about there. It's just above the V, certainly in between. And you can see when you do that, even very close, it takes up most of the space, which is why the numbers were down here at the end. Part of what makes this so ridiculous. So let's put this down. I'm going to do one sleeve at a time, because sewing on the sleeves is tough enough already. Let's get a good, decent bit of my Fabric Fusion. Stuff always works great. Would love if they'd sponsor me. I certainly use enough of it. And then again, so it has to be at the angle, just above the chevron. Put it down, and then I'm going to fluff underneath to make sure it didn't bleed through. Give that a moment to set, and I'll sew it on. All right, I think sleeve anything are the toughest things to do. And which is better to deal with all of this at the bottom to work through? I think I'm going to go through the collar. 6 of one, half dozen of another. Neither is good. You don't have a lot of space to work with. But I think I can work this slightly better. We'll see how I do. So as always, a zigzag on either side to help seal it in. Make sure we're not going underneath anything and I'm not stitching through multiple layers of fabric. All right, that actually was much smoother than I thought it would be. And I think that works. I'd say the most important thing now is to be consistent. That it doesn't matter where that placement is as long as they match, right? Which that looks about the same. I'm trying to key on this. And again, fluff to make sure it didn't. Oh, see, got a wrinkle. Can't have that. And hopefully that won't be much of an issue with that glue. All right. It works. All right, let's do this other one. Hopefully about as easy as that one. It doesn't take much for this to happen, so I'm going to get the seam ripper and pull those out, and then back under the machine. All right, so got that, and well, it did leave a little bit of a scar. Not my best work, honestly. I'm going to cheat a little and just maybe get a fabric pen and do it more properly later. Just to minimize that just a bit. But I mean, any pull, you know what happens. So, let's get this back under and get this finished. All right, so technically speaking, we could be done here. I mean, that's all there is to this jersey, but we're not going to stop there. I have a number and name on order. We're going to piece it together piece by piece, and can't wait for that to come in. We'll pick this up. It's been a good while, but you got to get back to these things. So a weird unboxing as I pull from Homegrown Sporting Goods. I ordered a bunch of letters and numbers, and obviously that took time. And then life gets in the way. Like it's important in these to do what you can do best, right? I mean, you got to be in the right frame of mind to make this work. And after seeing a real one of these at the Northern Virginia Game Worn Jersey Expo, which I never imagined, I'm questioning if my sleeve numbers I bought are too big. So Homegrown Sporting Goods, not sponsored, would love them to, would save me a pretty penny on some of these projects. No, I'm going to say I did all right. So this is going to be a Don Lever. And again, so the gold is a bit too dark, but there's not much I can do with that. I'm not going to be able to match that any better. And honestly, with the real one, it wasn't perfect anyways. So I'm not that upset. And even, I mean, yeah, it's dark. Maybe before I glue it down, I'll look and see if there's a better one. But going there, the size is definitely right. I now know that these letters have to be spaced quite a bit. I bought a nameplate, which I've never done before. They only have black and white nameplates, which doesn't shock me because, like, finding the right shades of blue and so on, I get. But I'm also hoping to get a C out of this. And then, of course, the big 9 on the back. So we'll have our nameplate, which will be part of that. And we'll have our number. And then we'll have a jersey. That's pretty much it. So I look, there is no lighter gold or yellow on Homegrown Sporting Goods, so I'm not going to fight it. It is ugly jersey after all. So I just want to try and space this out, and I will glue them down. And they really were on the real one. very, very spaced, like shockingly spaced. And I am going to get some rulers and get this done just right before gluing it down. But I need some at the end if I'm going to cut out this C. So I have to debate just how far is too far where I can still get what I want. Plus, I don't want to go the whole way across the back. I mean, this is a big nameplate. So I'm going to have to toy with this, and then I will glue it down with my normal fabric fusion, and then I will finally put it on the sewing machine. Even though it looks like those are all stitched already, they're not actually. In fact, so usually I cut this off. Focus. There it goes. They put this on the outer edge as a way to bind it because these will fray, and they will fray really badly. And I'm used to them actually being a bit thicker than this. They did a good job, and we'll see. Maybe on this it's a little more obvious. Maybe I should trim the. Yeah, maybe I'll have to trim these. Lots going on there, and it's unpleasant to wear. And they do this so if you're just going to heat press it down, that you have an actual twill number, but it's not going to go fraying on you the entire time. So I will trim these, but I don't think it's going to matter so much on these letters. But I'm going to get this done right and get it fully set, and then we'll return. I don't think you need to watch all of that. And I was thinking like, oh, an inch apart. No, that's absurd. And considering what things usually are with them right next to each other, like, no, okay, so let's try a ½ inch. I don't know. Does that look like the other one? I'm going to say 3/4 of an inch. So, all right, I am going to get these perfectly lined up and glued down, and then they go onto the sewing machine. So that was unbelievably tedious, and still not as perfect as I'd like it, and I don't want to ever do that again. I see the benefit of ordering nameplates now. That's worth your extra couple bucks. I'm not going to lie. I am going to cut the end off of this, leave about the same 3/4 of an inch I did here, because this is what we're going to make that god-awful Captain C out of. A little bit of repurposing, getting a little 2-for-1 out of this nameplate. So I'm going to do that. All right, really very simple. We're just going to go around this just to make sure it's on. It already looks like it's there, so it's not going to do anything extra. It just to keep it attached. All right, now that was pretty painless. I mean, just falling around anything. It's not perfect. I'll clean up a little. But this outer edge causes problems. It hooks on things. It really hooks, and I don't think it'll snag. But I'm going to take my handy sewing scissors and just kind of trim off this edge. Not a lot, just a little, just to get a smooth thing, which does compromise the fraying ability, but I'm going to put a stitch on it around it anyways, so I'm going to replace that, and I won't have this plasticky edge. But I'm going to work my way around carefully, cutting those bumps off. And while I'm on it, I'm going to do the same thing with the numbers, because again, they have that long edge, and this is going to snag on everything as it moves around, and it's not exactly pleasant. And it's not necessary because I'm going to be stitching these down again. Again, these were to seal it because tackle twill will fray like nobody's business. I've seen that happen. I've done that. And so this is meant to put kind of a heat seal on it so that it won't do that when you just heat press it onto a jersey for your men's league team or whatever, because that's more what this stuff is made for, what homegrown sells for. And we just don't need it. So I am going to trim it off, and really, I mean, I'm just shaving the edge. because I'm going to put a stitch around it anyways, so it's not going to matter. And then I can put it all onto the jersey. I'm going to do the same thing with the sleeve numbers. But again, we're going to, through the magic of television, we'll skip ahead on all of that, because I'm sure this is thrilling to watch. Just thrilling. I'm going to start on the sleeves first because they're harder. I don't know if that makes sense, that I'd rather just get them out of the way. But I'm going to apply my fabric fusion to these numbers. And part of what makes this jersey so terrible is that the sleeve numbers were way at the bottom of the sleeve where they make no sense whatsoever. It is also lucky it's very easy to align them with a single number and that point. And so I think that looks pretty square. Again, fluffing underneath. Let's do the same to the other one. And again, we're going to try and get that same distance between them so they look even. All right, let's stitch these, shall we? All right, I am going to narrow this down a little, and let's see how well I can get this on here. Should be fairly simple, and just like everything else I've done. Okay. Okay. Oh, it's doing something with my bobbin. I'm going to have to do some troubleshooting on. I'm not sure what causes this, and if anyone who knows, tell me. But if you look closely, it's pulling the thread through. And if you were to pick that out, the whole seam just falls apart. And so far in fixing it is simply taking everything apart and cleaning it, which, I mean, there's not a lot to take. It's 2 screws, you just kind of, NES cartridge, blow it out. And then things seem to work. But I'm going to start running through that and running through some test fabric and see what I can do, because I don't understand what causes that problem. So took off the foot and then the 2 screws, and just getting in here and cleaning out whatever dust and debris I can get. I don't know if this is actually going to work, but it has in the past, and obviously there's a lot of thread dust and fabric dust that gets in here. Is that what caused it? I don't know. Again, if you're someone who knows what you're looking at, let me know how to fix that problem of things just... I mean, you can see on my testing, I'm like, well, maybe if I just flip the bobbin around. This last one here, that thread, if you pull that thread out, just pull the thread out, it just falls apart and comes right out. So I am going to work on this. We'll see if it works. Such is the baffling nature of sewing machines that it's no longer doing it. Like, that's what that stitch should look like. Why? Why did that do it? Why did just simply taking it off and putting it back on, mostly? Why does that fix it? I have no idea, but we're back in business. Trying this again. I mean, that's what we expect. That's what it should look like. I got to do the inside of the 9 now, and then that's done. All right, I want to do the 9 next because then I don't have to change thread color, but that doesn't make any sense. So the easy thing is that at least this V matches, and I want to make sure I get the same distance for this in multiple spots so that it's not crooked. So I'm going to make it 1 inch from the end of the stripe. And that looks fairly all right. So I'm gonna put some glue down, and then I can adjust before tamping it down. So lots of, not a lot of glue, just enough that it's not gonna move. Yeah, I'm debating, should I get some kind of heat press something, because things moving is the #1 issue I have lately. And I think that would solve a lot of problems. All right, so I'm going to just lightly set it down. And I want to set up that 1 inch. That's why I also didn't put glue all the way to the edges, so that if I move the edges, it's not going to leave residue behind. All right. And now, again, fluff, make sure it doesn't bleed through. And I need to put that on the sewing machine. All right, so the last, well, next to last step, because we have the final piece to put on after this. And this came out very well. There's one part that it puckers in just the right situations, but like it also lays fairly flat, so I'm not that worried about it. I can always fix that one stitch if that really comes down to it, if it really starts to bother me. This 9 is the next part, and if anyone watching has a heat press and has done any of this stuff, especially with jersey fabric, let me know. Is it worth doing it? And if you have any recommendations, throw some links in the comments. Because I feel like I could just press this down instead of, trying to glue it and match it and then get it on there. Because like sewing a crest, like all the Reebok crests I have that are fraying, that's stupid easy. Like nothing moves. It's just putting a line. It just can't. Can you follow the line? Which I like to think I can do. This takes a little bit more skill. And I feel like heat pressing my way out of these problems would fix a lot of my issues with things moving around, So, let me know if you've done anything like that. I am, again, just aiming that V in the middle there. And looks like just slightly off. And that's why I also only glued up the very center of each arm of the 9, so that it's not going to leave residue if I move it. And I think that looks pretty good. Yeah. All right, get that on the sewing machine. right. That's the main bit. Let's now get to the inside of the 9. I'll be honest, that felt pretty good. All of it seemed rather straightforward. It moved well. I think it helps that there's no crest on the other side. Oh, no, there's one part where I stitched through. Ah, too good. Spoke too soon. Was doing too well. It's easy to do. And I don't know if you, with the benefit of video, saw when I did that, but I did not catch that I did that. I just had just a little bit must have been tucked under. When I turned the corner, apparently. And so now to cut through those, and we'll see what it does to the overall stitch. Oh, it was right at the beginning and end. Must have caught it right at the end. Oh well. Doesn't look like it's changed anything on the number. A little bit of a blemish there, but whatever. That could happen with anything. Have it running into a wall. Let's get this inside there. All right, so that takes care of the back, and a quick steam got rid of any puckering that I thought might have been there. And any normal person, this would be the end of it, right? But what made this jersey special, and not, I mean, like, because otherwise, why not put Larry Goodenough on the back? But what a great name to put on the back of a jersey, and he did wear this one, is that unbelievably bad Captain C that was on. And so I'm going to take this leftover bit of nameplate, and we're going to turn it into that ridiculous C, and that's what's going to take this jersey from awful to awful. Okay, now, my best interpretation of that C, based on the images I have, is it is just cut out like this in a circle. It's a half circle. And so I have a compass, and I'm going to put it out as far as I can for this. Right to the edge. So I have it in a, I'm going to, nope, that's not going to work. So let me put it in a little closer. Make sure I'm actually in the middle. Yeah, that's going to work. Okay. So now, and I'm doing this on the back so it doesn't show any pencil lines when I cut it out and put it on. And so I'm going to go with that. And then I'm going to put it in smaller, give it some thickness, and then I'm going to draw it in the same. And I mean, I think that's it. I feel like it probably should be in a little further. Like, I feel like I should move this whole thing over a bit, but I don't know if I can do that easily without confusing my, everything. So I'm going to go back and look at those reference pictures and make a decision. Okay, so looking at it, I do think I need just a little more on this side. And so, and this is why you do it on the back, right? Because this is the front. No one's ever going to see that I made any adjustments here. This is like the only properly DIY section of this entire project. And so I am going to do the same thing I did, and I'm going to double check that it actually fits. And then I am going to circle, make circles, and hopefully make it very clear which one I'm using. And then I'm going to pull it in a bit, and I'm going to make circles, and since that lifted up, I'm going to hope I did it right. So with that mess, it's going to be this outer one, and it does give me some leeway where if I want to chop some off here, I can. But I'm going to have to cut that and see how it turns out, because I got one real shot at this. I think that might have worked. Now, I'm going to get the exact placement in a minute, but like, that looks like the reference photos I've been dealing with. I mean, maybe it should be a little taller, or maybe I should cut a little bit of this off to make it thinner. I'm going to have to play with the reference photos and see what exactly I think and where exactly to put it. I almost feel like it should be bigger, but I don't have that option. I'll look. I'll have to look. All right. Look, could I shorten it a bit? Yeah, there's a bunch of things I could do, but I think I'm going to ruin it if I keep playing. And honestly, in looking at it, I feel like this is exactly what happened with the real Canucks. I feel like they weren't going to have captaincy patches, and then they were forced to, which is why there's no A's for any of this. I bet there was no regulation at the time that you had to have assistant or alternate captain, so they just didn't, or they were merely on paper. Score sheet, specifically. So, in looking at this, I know the C has to be along that diagonal. I want it about 2/3 of the way up on the collar. And I'm going to do it just like that. And then once I get that on the sewing machine, this is done. This is a finished project. It looks so bad, but it's accurate. That's what they did. So, project done. I mean, by taking on this project, first off, you get a unique jersey, because again, the whole point was that I can't, this is massive on me now, and it is different that we have different number color, or different name color, excuse me. The numbers, you have an outline on this, and they don't here. This is the original version, it's far worse. The sleeve numbers, they make sense here at least, they totally don't here. And again, this thing is huge. It's huge. It's an old Michelin S56, and they went way, way long. They went way, I mean, like, way long. Like, ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. So, I have this, and then the coup de grace, that ridiculous captain's patch, which obviously I don't have on this one. So I can put this one in a bin and hold it off, and I can wear this one when I do Ugly Jersey Week. To finish this, let's swap them, shall we? So, look, I'm very satisfied with how this turned out. I don't think there's any reason for people to question, was this something I did, or is this store-bought? Which is the point, isn't it, when it comes to these things? It also demonstrates, like, there was a lot of downtime in this project where just nothing got done. Things getting ordered, life happening, and it just proves when you do a project like this, you don't need to put time into it that you don't want to put into it. Like, it'll sit, and it's not going anywhere, and it doesn't decay or anything. And as long as you remember what you were doing, what's the difference, right? I mean, so it's a leisure project, and it was done leisurely, and it's done, and I'm happy with it. And I think that's a good answer for DIY. So, Sublimation Kings, homegrown sporting goods, and a sewing machine, and I put together a jersey that otherwise I really can't buy right now. So, I'm thrilled. I'm very thrilled. And it certainly was a whole lot less than trying to find a blank and send it to EPS and doing it the right way. And I got some good experience out of it. So, if you have questions, put them below. Take a look. Have you tried any of these things? Have you looked at a heat press? Because that's what I'm taking away from this mostly, that I think I could benefit. With that and this, how'd I do? Let me know down in the comments. So, for Phil and Shrems, I'm John here on Loose Threads for Ugly Thirds.